Now, when it comes to like the MMA side of things, and I think you said you can beat these guys in a street fight. The whole thing's a street fight. Hold on, now, let me clarify. I don't know if you're serious or not. Again, you don't fuck around.
And this is funny, right? Bradley's gonna hide behind the street fight, the elusive like, oh, sheer violence. This could be over in a minute if Bradley connects or Bradley barrages to the ground. It's not like, okay, we're putting on mitts, squaring up, ringing a bell, shaking a hand, starting. What is up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Today's ASMR sip is 1907water.com. Coupon code Russo. ASMR Spritz Intelligent Elephant H2O. This is the one that officially dropped. So the hydrogen you're still waiting on, this is the H2O. Not a cologne guru. Don't know how to even describe the smell other than try it. Link in the description. Today I'm going to be doing a funny reaction on Bradley Martyn talking about street fighting, actual MMA fighters, and just bodybuilders. The whole conception of bodybuilders being meatheads who can't fight, and then, you know, they build up this whole persona, their stature, and then, you know, little MMA fighter nerd guy pushes them around in a conversation, and that triggers a bodybuilder dude. In my opinion, a MMA guy would always beat a bodybuilder guy, despite size discrepancies. Obviously, there's outliers, and Bradley's talking about a street fight, but this is like pretty relatable to me because before the whole bodybuilding bullshit, I was a little nerdy long distance runner that wrestled all these years in Western Pennsylvania, and I'll have Andrew throw me up on the podium, and I got my ass beat. Always wrestling up, right? So I wrestled one of the best 145ers in the whole east side of Pennsylvania. He was my training partner, and he'd always beat me. I'd always wrestle up a weight class because we were the same weight, and I would always face bigger, more bodybuilder looking opponents than me, and I would beat the shit out of them. As well as, obviously I got my ass beat. I'm not trying to say that I've never got my ass beat. And then the football players who are like 5 times my size, right? I'm 145, 152. They're coming down to the gym weighing in upwards of 200 pounds, and we would just toss them around. We would toss them around, we would pin them, we would suplex them, and then maybe like 3-4 people from the football team would stay and actually do the wrestling season after 2 practices. So like, that's the world I come from. When you start to attack MMA fighters on their craft, when you're a bodybuilder in a whole different craft focused on vanity and aesthetics, not performance, it's always interesting to see how it plays out with the egos, because an ego of an MMA fighter is much different. I am very humble from my MMA and long distance running background. And long distance running, you learn how weak your mind is compared to other people's minds. None of this goes with bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is gassing vanity, ego. Bodybuilding used to be gassing everyone's vanity, ego, all pulling each other up. Social media has caused a stir in this pot, and overall, it's always been egomania with bodybuilding. But you can see there's no sensei structured ego coming from an MMA fighter, except if they're trying to sell fights. Right? If they're trying to sell fights, they'll flare their shit. But I guarantee with their years of training, when you bring that into a street fight, I personally always see the person with years of training who's been in the fire, who relaxes and doesn't use emotions in a barrage of like aggression. You can say from my aggression that, you know, I would just go in and starch them. You know, I used to think that when I would wrestle. No, horrible. I would get pinned instantly. You never really want to fight emotional. And we'll see Bradley like leaning on that a little bit, but this is a podcast with Brendan Schaub, who is a actual professional fighter. Same height, around the same weight as Bradley when Brendan was fighting, and you can see him try and talk some sense into Bradley. I know Bradley's doing this for clicks, it's all fun and games, but this is like a much bigger issue than Bradley, and it's kind of funny he's bringing it up. And I'm not saying Bradley can't beat up a small fighter in a street fight if, you know, he actually catches him, which I don't know if he could touch him, or if he grabs a hold of him and gets him to the ground and pounds him and knows how to control on the ground. Like, there are certain situations in a street fight where like a street fight is more like sheer violence that could escalate Bradley's way. But if they were both squared, if I was a betting man, like even if it was 160 to 180 pound fighter versus 260 pound Bradley Martyn, like if that fighter had a resume and had, you know, multiple trainings on ground and striking, I really wouldn't count the little guy out whatsoever, and more would be leaning towards him, because I'll say from this, from being, I'm like 250 right now, from being 250, I would not want to fight like this. The muscle I have is show muscle. It fills up with blood. It slows me down. Higher oxygen intake. I gas out faster. I can throw power for a little bit, but if they survive that power or they emotionally, deter me to expend my energy too quickly and the street fight goes a little bit longer than like a minute, then I'm in trouble against the guy who's actually fighting all the time, actually in an MMA gym all the time. I'm in a bodybuilding gym. I'm lifting weights. I'm doing something different. But again, this is all fun and games. I wanted to react to see Brendan try and talk some logic into him.
Save it for the companion, but this is good.
No,
we got it. We can start with whatever you want, but when I see that, I defend you. I would defend you because we're boys. I defend you as much as I can in my world. Okay, let's just start with that.
So, what do you think about that?
Are we rolling?
Yeah. What do you think about it?
It's tough because you and I are boys. We're friends. You're my guy.
Yeah.
I'll say this, and I try to do it in a positive spin, because obviously the MMA audience, the box audience, they don't know you. They hate it.
They hate it.
And he's an idiot. He's a meathead. I'm like, hold on. That same ambition and the belief in yourself is what
the MMA audience is like. Again, I relate back to my story when we would invite the football team down. They're all way bigger than us. Way bigger than us. In the public high school, they can beat up everyone. And that's the same ploy online the bodybuilders use, where it's like, bro, come to an MMA gym, put sparring shit on, let's see. And then you see that the size doesn't really matter. The size doesn't really matter. If Bradley's hitting mitts and gets serious about it, that's his skill. I don't really think like the size plays as much of a role as people think, even if he's 260.
It's made you successful. So of course you're like, I can beat up those guys. That's why you're Bradley Martyn.
Right.
That's why you ran with that. Being full transparent, those guys would up.
I was gonna say, listen.
Let me just help you out here. So, I was how much you weigh?
About 260 right now.
260. You're a big dude, shredded too, all bodied up.
Yeah.
In my prime, I was 6'4", 240, probably 10% body fat, Golden Gloves champion boxer, top 10 UFC, skilled dude. And I sparred a guy who was a 138-pound world champion boxer. I couldn't touch him, dude.
And MMA?
Boxing. Destroyed, couldn't touch him. Me up.
Yeah, I relate to this. I would be 152 wrestling a highly ranked 132 pounder. I'd be getting spanked. It wouldn't matter. He was faster than me. I couldn't hold him down. He was way more cardio happy than me, and my size really didn't help me. This skill set was better. I got beat in that scrimmage.
Now, when it comes to the MMA side of things, and I think you said you can beat these guys in a street fight.
The whole thing's a street fight. Hold on, now, let me clarify.
I don't know if you're serious or not. Again, you fuck around.
And this is funny, right? Bradley's gonna hide behind the street fight, the elusive, sheer violence. This could be over in a minute if Bradley connects or Bradley barrages to the ground. It's not like, okay, we're putting on mitts, squaring up, ringing a bell, shaking a hand, starting. It's the whole tension of actually being in real life, being able to defend yourself or destroy a target, which does play in Bradley's, nature. Does play for Bradley, in my opinion, because if he catches him quickly, puts him out, starches him, that's the way Bradley's going to win. If it goes long, I don't really see Bradley against a highly trained fighter unless Bradley picks up the skill set of dedicating more of his life towards that life.
And it goes viral, so good for you. But I have to defend your ass, man, because we're buddies.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a little trolly. The name's a little trolly. Devin Haney in a street fight, I'll beat the out of him, though. I really do believe that. 150 pounds. I do believe this one.
Now, that one, there's more of an argument because now, if you bear hug him, obviously you like to stand back in any distance. Now, if you bear hug him, slam him to the ground, he has no jiu-jitsu, no wrestling. That one I can fuck with that.
Obviously,
you're talking about ground against a car,
crush it. 150 pounds like a towel to me.
But now, Demetrius Johnson, who fights at 125 in a street fight, would you up?
Why Demetrius Johnson?
He's tiny, but he's black belt in everything when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. But so on the ground, I know you'll think you pick him up and slam him into the concrete, or I don't know where you're thinking it's gonna go.
I'm gonna crush his head on the floor.
No,
really?
No,
125 pounds.
Demetrius Johnson, or I don't know who it is. Okay, Mike.
So Demetrius Johnson, in my opinion, in an actual MMA fight, as long as he could move, if Bradley took him on the ground, I would pick Demetrius Johnson despite the weight discrepancy, just like Brendan. It is that ridiculous. I'll say another story is that with high-level black belts, again, we're talking about a street fight, but I could still go to the ground. This is why I never pick on anyone at a bar ever. You never know who the fuck. I have no ego about this shit at all. I have no ego about my size. I know for a fact, being in the MMA life, I've seen it. I've seen the little dude maul the big dude multiple times. I've been in that situation. And I remember I was eating at a burger place and me and my friend were talking about the UFC card. We got interrupted by the table next to us. Oh, you guys roll or anything? And I'm like, no, I've just wrestled in high school. They were both black belts, right? They're both black belts in jiu-jitsu. Either one, if they got a hold of me, I'd be done instantly. I'd be choked out. You never would have guessed. And I'm not saying in a street fight that would work in their favor, but if they got a hold of you, pretzeled you, you're getting your elbow snapped, You're getting a heel snapped. Like, it's very eye-opening if you've never been grappled before by a high-level grappler, because they're at a chess match pace where you're not even processing what they're doing as they're moving you through the chess pieces to get to the submission. So again, if Bradley has the education of this, sure, but I 100% leads towards Mighty Mouse, because Mighty Mouse is 1,000 times faster than him. So what's Bradley's going to run around, try and catch him? He's not going to catch him with his hands, right? He can't touch him with his hands. So what? He's going to try and take him down as long as he doesn't get knocked out. Like, as long as Bradley doesn't suplex him and knock him out, I just see it getting problematic where he will, again, get to Bradley's back, get to an arm, get to a heel, and he will be tapping.
Mushimeshi, he's the number one, like one of the number one jiu-jitsu guys. He trains in Mark Zuckerberg. He's his trainer, but he's like the outlier. He looks like a nerd, but savage. So you're so big, I assume you think him like Rampage Jackson. If you've ever seen that against Paulo Field, Paulo gets him in like an armbar or a triangle, and he just picks him up, slams on the ground like Hulk, and knocks him out. So I assume you're thinking that.
They killed him,
yeah. With the guys like that, they're going to get to your ankles so fast, you're not going to have time to pick them up. And then they also, all they do is deal with big guys, so they know how to put you in a position where you don't have leverage to pick them up.
125 pounds, though?
I also relate to this too. Like, in high school, I'd tell, a bigger guy to pick me up and like grab me, right? People who don't wrestle. And these are like way higher level fighters than I ever was. And you would pitch your weight, and I'm only 140 and they can't suplex me. And then I know how to pick up a 220 pound person, and I could lift them like that with 150 pound body weight, them being 200. This just amplifies through the roof when you get to professional fighters and or just higher level college D2, D1 wrestling. The grappling goes to a point where you don't understand unless you've been in high level grappling altercations, fights. If you get ankle picked, right? So an ankle pick would be like, okay, Bradley's barraging, change level, grab his ankle. You have his ankle, you pull his ankle. Now you got one of his legs. Now you're running towards him to sweep the other leg. Then he's down on the ground. Unless he knows what to do on the ground versus a professional MMA fighter, that's how the street fight is playing. I don't really see how the size and power really makes this definitive difference unless Bradley bear hugs, gets control, then I see it going his way. I don't see him really catching a professional fighter in a street barrage with a clip that's going to put him out cold, but I could be wrong.
That's so. I know. Lift that with one hand.
I know. I'm telling you, he can get back. He's gonna get your neck. He's gonna get your ankles. Your
I've rolled with like a really high level black belt. In here in Tarzana, Edwin. And he's like, I think he's like one of the number one guys in jiu-jitsu.
There's levels too. So, but he's a heavyweight, right?
He's like 180.
180. There's just, I'm talking about like the outliers. Like they're gonna, like Chrome Gracie's 145 pounds. I was black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like I can't beat him.
You think in jiu-jitsu? I'm not talking about jiu-jitsu. I'm talking about like I'm able to like hit this one with elbows and crush him on the floor. Because I know
they're just not gonna be there for you to hit.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Not the elite guys. Now Devin Haney, I agree. If you get close and you like can like the mountain in Game of Thrones and grab him and take your thumbs like break his eyes or something. Yeah, like Devin Haney doesn't know what he's doing as far as like on the ground wrestling. You're so much stronger.
Yeah,
but like
so what
wrestling MMA guy's gonna fuck you up.
What do you say to defend me? That's what I'm curious.
I just say like
people hate it.
They hate it.
Hate it.
Hardcore fans.
I love it though.
I love how much they hate it. I defend you. Just I say this. It's like ignorance is bliss. Like, it is what it is. But then also those aspirations and the self belief in yourself is.
It is funny. That is like the ignorance is bliss, right? You think. I've seen it so many times where I can beat up everyone. I'm the toughest guy. Most unsuspecting dude destroys that person. I've seen it so many times, and any fighter, especially a professional fighter who's gone to shit rocked, you're gonna tell someone that, especially from the bodybuilding world.
Is what made you who you are. So of course you're gonna believe that.
Yeah, I have to.
You have to.
What am I gonna be like? No, this guy will beat me.
No, you're a grown man. You're jacked. So it's like I can beat that guy. I was like, all right,
I obviously I know it's a little different. I just think 150, like someone 125 though. That 125 guy.
Mighty Mouse win. You're talking about like the best of all time.
Okay.
You won't be able to touch him.
Yep.
But like certain guys, if you get a hold of him in a mountain and crush your face. You're also athletic too, so there's that, and you're strong.
Because I think most people, when they see that and it goes viral and they don't know who I am, they're like, oh, it's a dumbass big boxer.
Yeah, I think you're a meathead.
They think that I'm not athletic, that I can't jump super high, that I'm not like.
No, you're an athlete.
I've done like it's not like I think I'm gonna sit there and be like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna do that.
No, but it's also the internet, so they don't know.
I'm not discrediting Bradley's size, stature, or athletic capability. I'm honestly saying Bradley would be a better fighter at 215 to 225 pounds, actually fighting, realizing distance control. I feel like he would change his mind just adjusting to that weight, going to an MMA gym, realizing, and then if he got this bodybuilder-esque social media superstar body back, he'd probably have a different understanding after sparring at that low weight, how fights actually go, if they go longer than the street barrage. I feel like, Bradley's just hiding behind this is a street barrage where he starches them out quick, and that's that. If it goes a distance, I always will pick the MMA fighter.
Your story, they're just saying that like this guy's an idiot. But it's also, you know,
we just torpedo tackle someone and just like, dude, lay on top of a 125 pound guy. What, really?
Not the elite guys.
Dude, I want to find that. I want to find this guy you're talking about.
DJ?
I want to find him.
Yeah, I'll text him right now.
Text him. I want to try. I'm not going to fight him in a street fight. I want to just lay on top of him in jiu-jitsu.
So like I did this campaign with the Mountain Thor. He's strong. Thor's strong. You're right. Thor's strong, right?
Way strong.
So world's strongest man at the time. You know, or he's been like multiple world's strongest man. I did this campaign.
He's also 6'8".
He's 6'8", 400 pounds, but shredded too, jacked. He rolled with Gordon Ryan. You know who Gordon Ryan is? He's about 220 pounds.
Yeah, no, that guy's heavier.
He's 220 pounds.
Yeah.
220 pounds. He's the best jiu-jitsu practitioner, maybe of all time.
Yeah.
But Thor rolled with him.
I'm a fan of that guy.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah.
Gordon Ryan's salt of the earth. He's one of the best people I know. But he rolled with the Mountain. The Mountain's a big, strong guy, deadlifts 1,000 pounds, and he rolled with Gordon Ryan. And he went into it being like, I know, like, jiu-jitsu is his thing, but I'm so much bigger, I'm just gonna lay on top of him.
He couldn't.
He got done, was like, oh, dude, like, I couldn't, like, I would go to lay on top of him, and he'd hold me like a baby and spin me around, flip me over.
400 pounds.
Yeah, flip me over.
So I believe that about this guy. He's 220 though.
220, but still 400 pounds and the world's strongest man. And I'm talking, it'd be like you playing with.
I feel like this is a great comparison that Brendan is using because he's using the biggest, most freakiest Game of Thrones fucking freakazoid against a high-level black belt, the highest level black belt arguably ever seen being Gordon Ryan. But the fact that I've watched that too, I'll have Andrew throw up a little bit of that. The weight manipulation you learn over years and years and years and years and years of MMA. A person who doesn't have any of those twitch instincts built up in grappling will be blown away in a grappling match against a professional, let alone a high-level black belt. And that's, again, something people don't understand. That's like, I have really good wrestling instincts, but I personally can never become a good boxer, in my opinion. It would take like a decade of boxing before I could even consider myself like a boxer, per se. That's how long it takes to build that twitch of, you know, immediately approaching someone, being at the perfect striking distance, immediately having the most flush hands that are throwing straight with you, pivoting your body and feet. Same thing with grappling, right? Bradley thinks he's going to torpedo tackle someone. A wrestler is going to make that read instantly and sprawl and move away. And then you fall on the ground. They have your head. They're behind you. They're at your neck. Like, all that shit happens so fast. And when you're bigger, you're slower.
The baby. Like, that guy's so skilled, and the more pressure you put on, that's what he wants.
For the record, I'm not saying that guy, by the way. Just want to make that clear.
I'm just saying, like 400 pounds, 220, like the weight discrepancy there, even.
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. Damn.
But it's funny, I like when you do it, because then like, people are like, what's up with this guy? I'm like, oh, yeah, he's fucking trolling, and he's getting views. Like, that's what he's doing. But Nate was cool about it, too.
Nate was really cool about it.
Yeah, like, and typically, he I don't know how you know Nate, but like, Nate can be a little feisty.
I thought, listen, look, is there a mic back there? Pick that mic up. I told the boys, I'm not gonna lie, I told the boys, I said,
He said that he was intentionally, Brad was trying to intentionally get Nate to fight him on camera because he knows that he's feisty.
I thought Nate would be like, I'll do it right now.
He's a chill dude, though, but I think if you would disrespect him, you're like, man, you suck. Your last fight, like, if you were super disrespectful,
Well,
that's when you're gonna poke the bear.
I would never.
But you're not that much of a troll.
No.
Where you're like,
I'm a fan of that
yeah,
guy.
you're a cool dude.
Yeah.
So I think he's like, oh, man, get out.
No,
He's like,
he's
I'll
nice.
fuck you up, man.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll kill you.
Yeah. You won't, of course.
And Nate's like, he street fights. Like, yeah, okay.
And he's not a small dude by any means.
No.
Yeah. So the real question is, who wins a street fight, me or you? That's the real question.
Is it though?
That
I
is.
trained all my life.
I know, but like, you're fucking older now, dude.
How old are you?
34.
I mean, I'm 40, you know. But it's
I like your knees hurt.
No, I don't have any injuries, but I would like to think I could beat you up. The problem is, it's like, I mean, you're a big dude, so it's like some could happen for
Street
sure.
fight.
Street, but you keep saying street fight. What do you think you're gonna like?
Hit you with
curb stomp or something like this, like WWE? You know,
It's like a true street fight. Like, you might not know what's coming.
that's true. And you like cold talking, I'm screwed.
I'll
You're a big
see
guy.
you out of the car, just
Yeah.
bang.
But I would like to think, like, you know,
Yeah, that's where I think Bradley holds a lot of weight. If this street fight just escalates to 10,000 within a minute, I feel like Bradley has a really good shot. If it goes anywhere long to a point where the fighter survived the onslaught inferno of Bradley Martyn's extreme athletic capability, power, size, and his little bit of speed that will dissipate, in my opinion, very fast, based on being, 250 pounds, right? I am personally boxing right now, not as like an actual boxer, just for like cardio purposes. And I do like to see how far I can push a pace for like, I'm jabbing quickly. It looks like a decent jab. Like, my combos are actually coming with speed. I can't maintain that for long. I really can't maintain that for long. If I was in a street fight, I would definitely do like Muay Thai clinch work and not really rely on straight hand fire. And if I fought an actual boxer on the feet, I'd probably get caught, knocked out if I couldn't get them down or into a clinch, right? It'd be that over that quickly in a street fight. That's what Bradley is like leaning on, right? But if Bradley put on sparring equipment, went in a ring, went in an octagon, that little burst of energy really, again, can be read very easily when you know it's coming. And number two, could gas you out, could put you in a horrible position very quickly. any good, you know, all my wrestling coaches, don't wrestle emotional. Why wrestle emotional? I used to wrestle emotional all the time. Don't do that. That's where you make mistakes. You have to be like, that's where like the Zen, you're like the fucking bull in the china shop, right? You know, this is all things that it's just funny. I just like this conversation because I love the dudes in the gym who are all juiced up, think they can beat up everyone. And like, I am like juiced up as well. And I just think like, like there's like my jujitsu friends in the gym that could probably choke them out easily. It's just like one of those things where those jujitsu guys are like 160 to 180. They're winning. Like one of my friends is winning like tournaments. He won the Arnold. And I would for sure see him choking out someone double his size easily, very quickly, with that person being shocked at how fast they were dismantled.
I have my 10,000 hours sparring big world-class guys.
Yeah, I mean, you fought big ones.
Yeah, heavyweight, like, top 10 in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
it's a little different.
But again, like, I don't take any offense to it. I mean, it's not like I'd whoop your ass. Like, you're a tough fucking dude, too, on top of that. Like, you have some darkness, dude. You know, people know your history with your dad, and it's like, you have some anger, dude.
But then people are gonna take that comment right now and be like, you know, the funniest thing that people say in reaction to me saying that is the I see red comment, like, trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. I see red, I swear, dude. Like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, it's hilarious.
It's fun. I see it, I laugh. Like, they brought up on my show today, I'm like, oh, God, Bradley's fucking around, man. Like, he's not, and obviously the vibe's fucking out, too, because Nate wouldn't entertain that. If you like disrespectful, I'm like, no, I can't beat you. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's funny.
It's interesting. Like,
and your fans know.
Yeah, I think my true fans know. But it's interesting to watch people get really riled up about it. And so it's funny because there was.
Yeah, I think this is an awesome conversation by Brad. You know, I definitely think Brad could be a fighter. He'd have to change his body and go and spar. And then I feel like, I mean, this is all for clicks, views. He's like the big bodybuilder, messing with the MMA community, brings like new clout to him. And, you know, I'm sure they're going to stick around on Bradley's channel for his other fitness related content, but it is funny when he pokes the bear of the MMA community that's like, dude, if you actually went down and sparred a real fighter and it went longer than 30 seconds, 45 seconds, your brain would be rewired from that humbling of an actual professional fighter, despite your size, stature, and power. I have had my ego shattered on the wrestling mat thousands of times. You go home, rebuild it, come back to the mat, and try again. I feel like 1, 2, 3 sparring sessions, even with Brendan, you know, Bradley would completely change his mind on, oh, wow, Brendan gets to distance. He has perfect distance control. I don't even understand that. His footwork's different. I can't touch him. When I go in to try and grab him, he blocks it. When I go torpedo tackle him, he sprawls and moves to my back. He's throwing combinations. He's doing feints. I'm reacting to the feints because I've never been in a fight before. I'm not reading the situation like he's reading the situation. And I'm fighting emotionally while he could be potentially playing possum, playing on my emotion of me fighting emotionally to where I get too close and then Brendan knocks out Bradley. All that could go down. Am I saying Bradley isn't athletic, smart enough, could be a fighter, you know, to a point where he could probably beat anyone up? Yeah, but it is funny that he's just like in the bodybuilder king chair, just saying he can beat up all the MMA fighters that are like, you know, way smaller than him, when that's just not the case if it actually came to sparring, in my humble opinion. And my basis of actually having my ass beat by much lighter, you know, opponents and me beating up much heavier opponents. You know, I really don't think size really equates in fighting like people think it does. And you've seen that even on the UFC stage. You've seen that on the highest level of fighting in the entire world, where size isn't everything, but size is the prize in bodybuilding, and that's the world Bradley lives in. And I hope you guys found this entertaining. I will see you guys in my next video.